Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here, y'all, for Married at First Sight, Season 18. We are on Episode 3. Good to be back, y'all. I am nursing a cold, so I got my little lemon ginger tea here to get me along. Every once in a while, I might have to stop and blow my nose. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm congested, y'all. I am really congested. So bear with me through this review, but I absolutely wanted to make it here to talk to y'all. Because we got a lot to talk about. It's so funny. I watched this episode, and I was thinking while I was watching the episode, oh, okay. Married at First Sight this year is going to be calm, cool, and collected. And I didn't really see everybody being a match, but I was like, okay, at least it ain't going to be no foolishness. And then after the episode, we saw them previews. It's going to be some foolishness, y'all. It's absolutely going to be some foolishness. So get ready, because we're going to have to talk about the previews, too, along with the episode, because we can't unsee what we saw. We done saw things about infidelity, lots of little comments being made, so we can't pretend like we didn't see it. I saw it, and I can't unsee it. But I think I'm going to retitle this episode. I know they called it, Did Y'all Meet My Husband? Because that came from MM. Did Y'all Meet My Husband? But I'm going to retitle the video and call it Turned Off Already. Because there's a lot of folks that's already turned off. You can see it. You can see folks already turned off. Michelle, she really turned off by the guy living in the basement. And the social smoker, she turned off. EKG is more into himself than he is into MM. We're going to talk about that. We're going to really talk about that. He was on the Afterparty as well. I'm not a fan of EKG. I just want y'all to know that right now. I'm not a fan of EKG. Another person we already know is turned off is, what's the girl's name who says she's beautiful? Girl. What have we done out here to women? Have we pumped up women so much? You know, I know we wanted to boost women's confidence and things like this. Have we gone too far, y'all? That's a question. Have we gone too far that now we got women out here believing they are the next top supermodel and that they are just so beautiful? I don't know, y'all. I'm not saying that she's not good looking, but the type of attitude she coming out the gate with, I think it's a little bit too much. And I don't know. And then I was a little bit disappointed in Camille, too, when I saw her in the previews talking about she going to have a problem with homeboy swag. Camille, girl, do you have swag? Does Camille have swag? Because I like Camille. Like I said, this is my top forerunner, whatever you want, front runner couple. But if I look at Camille, she's not the type of person I say got a lot of swag. So why is she over here running around talking about she want a man with swag? What's going on, ladies? Priorities. Yeah, you want him to have swag. What? So then he can go out and attract a lot of women. And then next thing you know, he'll be cheating on you too, like he did his other ex-girlfriend for 9 years. How much swag do you want? This is what I'm talking about. People ain't ready for a change. Everybody here talking about they got bad pickers. They came to Married at First Sight because they got bad pickers. They don't know how to pick men. They don't know how to pick women. But then they come here and they pair them up with someone. And I can say this year the experts did a better job. They paired them up with someone, but then everybody's sitting around still wanting what their bad picker wanted before. Well, if you just wanted what your bad picker was doing before, why are you here? All you're doing now is trying to turn these people into what your bad picker was picking. Camille, swag, girl. No wonder no man was serious about you. You run around looking for swag? Oh, girl, turn it around. But let's get started first with David and Michelle. And he says she's beautiful. I mean, is she? Is this beautiful? I mean, face full of makeup on your wedding day. She looked beautiful on her wedding day. Let's give her that. But is she beautiful? I mean, I don't want to sound mean or nasty, but I'm like, come on, folks. Anyway, Hello, beautiful. All he cared about all episode long was that she was blonde with blue eyes. He could care less about anything else. So maybe in his eyes, that is what's beautiful. As long as you've got blonde hair and blue eyes, you're beautiful. I sure hope that's her natural color blonde. Because if it ain't, boy, she's going to have to dye her hair for the rest of her life. Is she a natural blonde? Because if she not, she can't never go back to her original hair color. Because all of a sudden, he ain't going to think she's beautiful at all. But they finally meet at the altar. And they had their nice little vows. And they said that she's tough and she's sensitive. Tough and sensitive. Tough and sensitive. So what does that mean? You could dish it, but you can't take it? All these oxymorons. I'm tough, but I'm sensitive. Normally, if you tough, you got a thick skin. You're not sensitive. But they said she's tough and sensitive. So what does that mean? She could dish it, but she can't take it? Anyway, they said he a big old teddy bear. Probably right. A teddy bear that like to sit on the couch all day. Because that's what teddy bears do. Sit up on the couch all day. Because this man, I don't know how many times he's going to have to tell us the only reason I'm living in the basement is because I want to. It's not because I have to. When you got to say something that many times, you must be convincing yourself, not me. Not me. Because you better have $1 million saved up. You better have $1 million. What I would say is, listen, you living in the basement all this time, that's fine. How much you got saved up? If you have less than $1 million, then what for? What for? I got questions. One thing I noticed about David is that he looked her in the eyes. He looked her in the eyes. She was busy looking at the officiant. So Michelle don't think David is handsome. I know she said she wanted her a black man, but I don't think she considers David Puerto Rican a black man. I don't think she does. I don't think she does. She wanted a black man, and I don't think she looks at David Puerto Rican as a black man. I think she wanted one with a little bit more melanin in his skin because she didn't even look at him. And I know later on they're going to talk about the fact that he's living in the basement and he's also a social smoker. But she was turned off from the beginning because she didn't have a lot of eye contact with him. And I think later on when they talk about, well, what do you think when you looked at me? She said something about that ponytail. I got it down in my notes. I have to read it later as we go along, but it wasn't flattering. So Michelle is already turned off by David. And I'm going to tell you what, the minute he gets a whiff of her being turned off, he's going to turn nasty. He's going to turn nasty. It's coming. It's coming real fast. But right now, he's saying he hit the jackpot. He's got a sigh of relief because he's just so shocked of how pretty she is with her blonde hair and her dark blue eyes. And she's an independent woman. That's what he wants, an independent woman that's not going to be dependent on him to do nothing. So she's independent, tough, but she's sensitive. She's a couple of years older than him, but I guess that's not no big deal. And then he says he socially smokes, and she's like, gross. That's what I would be saying too, gross. Now, I'm quite sure that on that application, you got to say whether or not you wanted a smoker. And I'm quite sure she put no. That would mean that David lied, and when he said, do you smoke, he probably said no. When the reality is he's a social smoker, which is gross. If you don't like smokers, why would I like you smoking socially? Right? It's almost like saying, wait a minute, you like to smoke, but instead of smoking privately by yourself when it's not bothering anybody, you decide you want to smoke socially when I'm around when it's going to bother me the most. Get out of here. But you know what? He's so in love already. He says she's so beautiful that if he has to start vaping and then from vaping get off of it, he'll do it. Well, if you got to do all these 3-step programs, you must be more addicted to the smoking than what you're talking about. Because he's already laid out his 3-step program. First, I'm going to go from smoking to vaping, and then from vaping, I'm going to quit. Well, then I don't know, David. It sounds like you're more of a smoker than you say you are. if you talking about 16 cigarettes and shit. Just like he lied about how much money he got saved up, he lied about this smoking. Really. But once they start having all these conversations about where you live, oh, I live in the West Loop, I live over here. And he talking about he got 2 careers. 2 careers or 2 jobs. Which do you have? This man likes to stretch the truth. He likes to, butter things up a lot, put a lot of sugar on stuff. He said he got 2 careers and or is it 2 jobs? And he live in the basement because he wants to, not because he has to. And when she told him he was a child living in a basement, she was like, yikes. One thing Michelle can't do is hide her feelings. She can hide her feelings. She gonna tell you exactly what she's thinking. And she was like, yikes. That's kind of scary. But he said he don't care because as long as she got blonde hair and blue eyes, for the umpteenth time he told us, he could care less. Oh, here it is right here in my notes. When he was like, well, what did you think about me? And she said he looked like a genie. A genie in a bottle, and she want to put him back in the bottle. He is a genie in a bottle, and she's like, how do I stuff this big old genie back in his bottle? Because this ain't what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. By the end of the honeymoon night or whatever, the wedding night, she done had a full-on breakdown. She back in the bathroom crying with her girlfriends. She in a full-on meltdown talking about he lived with his mama. He lives with his mama. And he got that man bun. He over here doing, what's that thing you do, the worm on the floor? He's a child. This is a 36-year-old man on the floor doing the what? Is that called the worm, y'all? Please remind me what that's called when you do that little bump thing on the ground. That man bun was all over the place. That edge control, that mousse, that echo gel, whatever he was using, he needed to use super hold because that hair was all over the place. He was like your child. You do their hair in the beginning, it's all cute. You sit in the school and they come back from school, their hair be all over their heads. I'm like, dang, what you do at school today? I sent you out here looking good with your echo gel and your edge control, and you done come back and your hair and your ponytails everywhere. That was David. His hair was everywhere by the end of the night. And her makeup was everywhere because she was doing a whole lot of crying. She was crying. She was doing a whole lot of crying. And she can't get over it. She says she's stuck on it. She's stuck on the fact that he lives at home. She can't get past it. I'm telling you, she didn't like the way he looked. She probably didn't like his physique because he's carrying a couple extra pounds. He not black enough for her. So, I don't know what to tell you. And she didn't like that man bun because she called him a genie. And she don't like that he smokes, and she don't like that he lived in the basement apartment. So she is fit to be tied. Fit to be tied. And her friends tried to tell him, you know what? You need to treat her special. Bring her flowers. And then they said, and then she needs her space. He was like, ooh, good, because I need mine too. I need my space too. These two ain't gonna make it. They're not gonna make it. And she needs to learn how to be more vulnerable because she's so independent. And she go, well, then she ain't sensitive. Well, I don't know. I guess you could be sensitive and what, not vulnerable too? I don't know. I just think a lot of these people, when I was watching this episode, they don't really know. They describe them one way, but if they let other people describe them, they probably would have a completely different description. Because what her friend said about her was that she's not always vulnerable. She's very independent. And she said she's been single for 6 years. She doesn't even know if she could join up with someone. And they said, but she don't put up with a lot of bull. What? I'm getting more mean vibes from Michelle. Independent, mean, strong-headed, than I'm getting sensitive. They gonna butt heads. They gonna butt heads because she gonna try to come at David, and David ain't gonna have it. David gonna dish it out. David's going to dish it out on Michelle. I think Michelle, it's ironic that I think these two chose each other for a particular reason and they're getting the opposite. Like, I almost feel like David chose Michelle, blonde hair, blue eyes, because I think what David associates with that is like a soft person. She's going to be so kind and nice, but she's going to be independent. Like, I think that's what he associates with that. And then what she associated with having a man of color, a black man, or whatever she said, I think she also falls into this stereotype of a man that probably can handle her personality. Because I think Michelle is going to be kind of a tough cookie. I think she's going to be kind of a tough cookie. And what she thinks is, I want a man that's used to being able to handle tough women. I'm going to say it, y'all. I'm going to say it. And I think what she's going to get in David is she going to get cussed out by David. She's going to get cussed out by David. This is going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess. But do I still think they're going to make it? No. They ain't going to make it. Let me tell you, when you crying in the bathroom on your wedding day, that's a bad sign. And the last bad sign that I know they're going to have a problem was when they finally went to the room and they had all the flowers on the bed. And they said, what should we do with the flowers? And he said, oh, you want to just, fan them off the bed. One big thing, all the little flowers with the hearts go off the bed. And he said, she said, oh, well, I don't know, that'll make a big mess. And he said, what difference does it make? I ain't cleaning it up anyway. There it is right there. That right there tells you that he's used to people picking up after him. And therefore, he doesn't give consideration to what someone else might have to do. I'm not saying anything was wrong with them doing it. It's their wedding night. They could do whatever they want to do. But what came out of his mouth told me a lot about him. He said, what difference does it make? I'm not cleaning it up anyway. There you go. So everything we think that's going on with David, that his mom is doing a whole lot for him, she is. She is. And they can walk around, their parents can walk around all day saying, no, it's mutual. We want him at the house too because he does so much for us. Probably what he does for that mama, he gives that mama some entertainment because the daddy seems kind of quiet. And maybe the mama and the son have a special relationship. They entertain each other. And David brings the laughter to the house. He brings the energy to the house because the father is subdued. And that's maybe what the mother looks up, because it was the mother mainly doing the part about we like him around. The father was like disagreeing. But I think the mother is really more codependent on her son. But that don't mean he does anything, which means she does a lot for her son because she's also feels she's getting something from the deal. She doesn't feel like she's the one sacrificing. She doesn't feel like she's the one sacrificing because she feels she's getting something out of it. She likes her son there. It's kind of a codependent relationship. And the other thing, he said there was at one time he did live away from the home. He said he lived in a bar and he converted it to a condo. Did y'all hear that? But then he said, we sold it. Who's the we? Who is the we? Your parents? That means you didn't own it by yourself. You said we sold it, which means you didn't own it by yourself. So, like I said, David wants to paint this picture that he's got two careers. He's only living at home because he wants to, not because he has to. He's only a social smoker, but he needs a 3-step program to stop smoking. Okay, David, I'm not believing none of it, and I'm not quite sure how these experts failed for this. One thing I'm thinking about the experts, they're a little bit naive. They're a little naive. If they bought this song and dance from David and they couldn't see through this veneer he's got going on, too bad. Because this is only episode 3, and in this episode alone, like I said, he just told about 4 lies. 4 lies. If you don't want to call them lies, call them embellishments or whatever else you want to call them. But let's move on to the next person that I don't like, and that's EKG. Don't like him. And my antennas were already up on EKG when we found out that he was chasing this television show from Houston to Chicago. He's chasing this television show, and I'm really starting to realize that EKG is chasing fame. He's on this show to become famous. And that's why he was willing to move to Chicago. This ain't no different from somebody talking about, I'm moving to LA because I want to become a star. This is EKG. This is EKG. And I'm going to tell you why. This is why I think about EKG as we get into it. But when they first started off, you know, he was talking to MM about, you know, why do you do this? What made you do this? And she said she was tired of the dating sites, you know, and she works a lot. She doesn't want to be single forever. And she says that she owns her own practice. So not only is she a nurse practitioner, she's a nurse practitioner and owns her own company. Shoot, MM got it going on, y'all. She got it going on. And then he starts talking about how he has written a book of letters to his wife all these years. Well, EKG, if you've written a book of letters to your wife, then why on your wedding day didn't you pull out one of those letters and give it to your wife, you know, on your wedding day? But instead, you had to bring out an old piece of 8.5 by 11 white piece of paper and on the fly, scribble down some words, a poem. That's what you had to do. So what that tells me about EKG is EKG likes the spotlight. You see, EKG loves talking about himself. He loves trying to make himself seem like he's like this evolved man. And every moment, these are the kind of people I really don't like. I don't like people when they try to act like they're doing something for you, but they're really doing it for themselves. So just like when he was writing that letter for her on the wedding day, it really wasn't about her, because if it was really about her, you would have thought about it beforehand, you would have given it some thought, and you would have already written the letter prior to the wedding day. But what you wanted to do was you wanted to have us sit there and watch you write it so you could have more of the spotlight. It's the same thing that happened when he had that man come sing that song. I don't know if y'all watched the Afterparty, but we find out that song, EKG didn't even write the song. This man wrote that song. That song didn't have nothing to do with MM. He don't even know. Did y'all listen to the lyrics? It didn't have nothing to do with her. So once again, here he is trying to act like a moment was for MM, but the moment was for him to get up there and get the spotlight. That's why he's willing to move from Houston to Chicago, so he can have the spotlight. She said, you didn't give me the book. Talking about he wrote a book of poems. That's what I'm saying. You mean to tell me you've been writing a book of letters to your wife all this time, and on your wedding day, you don't even give her one of the letters from the book? No, you just want to brag how you wrote a book to all your friends, but you don't want to do nothing with it. I don't like EKG. I don't like him. I don't like him. He says his type is Michelle Obama or Kelly Rowland. I don't think that it's not that he's not attracted to EKG physically. I don't think that's the problem. I think that he's just more into himself. People who are so into themselves, it's hard for them to put you on a pedestal or, you know. So I don't think that he thinks EKG is unattractive or anything. I don't think that. But I do believe he thinks he's the prize. He thinks he's so freaking evolved. He talking about he dedicated a song to her. He gets up there. The man sings the song. He tries to chime in on the song, and he don't even know the lyrics to the song. So you had a whole man fly here, because he said the man came from Germany. That's another thing. Then on the after party, he's bragging. I had him fly here from Germany. You had him fly here from Germany for a song that he had written, and then EKG tells a story. Well, he had written the song when we were on tour. Once again, just for you to tell us you was on tour with somebody. So he says he was on tour with his friend. His friend was all the way in Germany. He had to let us know he toured with them. And then he says he wrote this song, that man wrote that song, his friend years ago. He said, okay, whenever I get married, I want you to sing this song at my wedding. He brings this man to sing the song. He takes the mic from the man, and he don't even know the lyrics to the song. So you stole the mic to get up on stage to have your moment, and you don't even know the lyrics. Sit down, EKG. Go sit down. I'm not believing none of this. He wants to shine. He is chasing fame. And I think you're going to get blown away by EKG's fabulousness. And talk about, remember I said people who going to get cussed out? EKG going to get cussed out by MM. Because she don't play. I already know right now that EKG don't play. And the minute she starts figuring out what this man is doing and who he is, he going to get cussed out. She says she's tired of a man that don't want no commitment. And he ain't it. And you know who sniffed him out? That cousin of hers. Let me tell you, if y'all ain't got no daddy or no brother or no cousin, no uncle to vet your man, call this man. Call this man of EKG's, because let me tell you, he sniffed out everything about EKG in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. EKG didn't even know what to do. He barely could answer the questions because he was like, wait a minute. You must know about me already. Woo! All of a sudden they start calling him Ike. Is that his nickname, Ike? It ain't EKG no more. It's Ike. That's fine. We could call him Ike, but let me tell you, that man started drilling down on EKG Ike and started saying, when was your last serious relationship? He said 12 years ago. 12 years? That's what that man said. 12 years. That's a long time. He said, you ain't been in no relationship in 12 years with no one. He said, he really was saying, what's wrong with you? You a man and you ain't been in no relationship with no woman for 12 years. What's going on with you? He said, I've been in relationships, but they really haven't gone nowhere. Well, that's even more of a red flag. How long have they gone? He said nothing past 6 or 7 months. That's a red flag. That is a red flag. In 12 years, you haven't had a relationship longer than 6 or 7 months? No. And then he said, well, why not? That man said, why not? Why they only go say, oh, because they were women that didn't want to have kids or they didn't want to be married. Then why was you dating them? Why was you dating them? That's a question you could ask on day one. Do you want children? Have you ever been, do you want children? Do you want to get married? Those are simple questions. Why take you 7 months to get to the point to ask them questions and then you got to break up with a person? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Then he said, oh, he was engaged back when he was in his 20s. But they didn't get married. Because what? She didn't want to have no kids and didn't want to be engaged. I'm not buying none of EKG's stories. Because basically that man is saying what I'm saying. You've had plenty of chances. Why didn't you pull the trigger? That's what I'm saying. You've had plenty of chances. Why didn't you pull the trigger? And now you're willing to move from Houston to Chicago to be on this show. Just like that man said, what you running from? But here it is, cousin. He ain't running from something. He's running to something. He's running to fame. He ain't running from something. He's chasing fame. That's what he's doing. He's chasing fame. I think EKG Ike likes to date women who are well established so that they can finance and not depend on his income so he can be a musical artist. That's what I believe. I think these women he said he's been dating that didn't want kids, probably because they already had children and they didn't want any more. That's what I believe. They were probably women that maybe they weren't too interested in. There's a lot of women who are older women that are like, you know what? I've got children. I've been married and divorced. I don't know if I want to get remarried again. And I think EKG sought them out because they were established in their career and they want women that would be dependent upon him financially. Because I think what EKG wants to do is be a star. And he's going to like MM because MM's going to have all her own money and she's not going to be dependent on his money because really what he wants is he wants to be a star. And he knows that what he does, high school counselor, with all this painting and artistry on the side, it doesn't bring in any money. And he don't want a woman dependent on his money, because he don't want the pressure of having to make a lot of money, because he wants to be a star. That's what he wants to be. He's chasing fame. It's obvious. I see it written all over him. He's chasing fame. So I really don't know how much effort he's going to put forward in this marriage. Probably not a lot, because he just wants to be seen. And right now, EKG, we see you. At least I do. I see you. You want to be seen. You want to create this whole fanfare to be seen. We see you. After this season, if you act up, Ike, if you act up, you're going to be seen in ways you wish nobody saw you. Because they're going to tear you up out here on these blogs. They're going to tear you up. Another couple I don't know which way is coming or going is Carla and Juan. Now, we saw the previews, so we can't unsee it. So we see they're going to have a bit of a problem, because the free spirit Carla is probably looking for a bit of a sugar daddy. Not a sugar daddy, but she said, I don't really want no serious career. I want a man that's going to want to provide for me, because I want to be a free-spirited. And Juan's going to be talking about he ain't going for it. That's what the preview showed. But I'm going to tell you this about Carla. There's a couple of things that she said, too, that are contradictory for me. I remember when she told us she loves to dance, and she loved to dance all the dances. Cumbia, salsa, bachata, merengue, everything. And then all of a sudden, she don't know how to dance salsa. That really was like, I thought you just said you know how to do all this, but now you don't know how to do it. The other part that strikes me weird about Carla is that her mom and dad didn't come to her wedding. She must not be the favorite child. She must not be the favorite daughter. Because if she were the favorite daughter, there is no way her parents would not have come. I understand not agreeing with what your daughter is doing. But once you really love your daughter, and if she's your favorite daughter, there's no way you would miss her wedding day. That tells me that Carla's got a side to her that she ain't shown us yet. And I know when they asked her, when they were at the wedding, and the brother-in-laws and the brothers of Juan were grilling her and saying, what are some areas you need to work on? One of the things that she said she needed to work on was she needed to work on her bluntness and directness. That she can come off really harsh. And I was thinking, wow, that's odd, Carla, because you're supposed to be this person that brings love and light and freshness and just a free spirit and always happy. That's what you give off. That's what you're telling us. But then you're telling us that one of the things that you really have to work on is your bluntness and your directness and your harshness. You know, it's just like I was talking about with, Michelle up there. You're tough, but you're sensitive. You can dish it, but you can't take it. So something tells me that we're not seeing all of what Carla is. She's presenting this person who's love and light and wants to bring goodness to the world and here on planet Earth and all this other kind of stuff. But something tells me that Carla's got another side, and maybe it's a side of selfishness, because when she comes back on that little clip talking about she quit her job without having consulted with her husband, who's now her husband, that tells me that Carla didn't think about nobody but herself. So maybe Carla's one of those people who does whatever the hell she wants to do, and she gives you whatever you want, and she tells you, you ought to like it. It's a gift I gave to you. But when you say, it's not really a gift I wanted, so is it a gift if you gave it to me and I didn't want it? That sounds like Carla. That sounds like Carla does whatever the hell she wants to do. And she frames it as she's this good person in the world, but she rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Hence why her parents ain't at her wedding. That's why her parents didn't come to her wedding. That tells you a lot, that even though your parents disagree with you, they still wouldn't come to your wedding. I'm not overlooking that. And I'm going to tell you something else about Juan's family. They're a little bit stuck up, because the way they was grilling Carla I think they were trying to act like Juan is all this and Carla need to do all this other kind of stuff. I don't know if Juan's that good of a guy either, brother-in-law. Be honest with you. They really trying to act like it's Carla they're going to have to do all the work. But as we can see on them previews, Juan looked like he going to get into a little bit of a problem too. So these two are going to be a hot mess. A hot mess. At first I was thinking, oh, maybe they have a chance. But as we see here, but it's going to be interesting to see how they unfold. They both have strong personalities. And that's what I mean. Carla acts like her personality is one of free-flowing and a free spirit. But actually, she has a very strong personality. And her personality is strong that she does whatever she wants to do. She doesn't necessarily maybe consider other people. That's the vibe I'm picking up off of her. And so what she's saying is, oh, maybe I can bring some spontaneity to him and he can bring some structure to my life. Well, if you don't have any structure in your life, that means you have resisted it in the past, which means you have to be a pretty strong person to resist structure because the world has structure. So for you to never adopt any structure is a rebellion against structure, which means you have to have a strong personality, which means you don't necessarily go along with people, which means you don't go along with the flow. It can really change the way Carla is presenting herself, that she's this free-flowing person, where really is Carla goes against the grain. She goes against the grain, which in a lot of people, that's disruptive. That's disruptive. So her parents probably didn't come to her wedding because she's disruptive. And this little incident of her getting married at the altar isn't the first time she's done something disruptive, and they tired of her. They tired of her. But, he got up there and he sang that little song with his guitar, that freestyling that didn't rhyme. Everybody on here think they got a talent. How'd y'all like that freestyling that he did? I wasn't impressed. It didn't even rhyme. Ain't it supposed to rhyme? A lot of these people, I feel are coming to this show with a little bit of overinflated egos. I ain't gonna lie. I'm picking up on some overinflated egos. We done taken this self-love to a whole nother level. We done gone from self-love to overinflated egos. And another person who I think might have one is Madison. I think Madison might have an overinflated ego, y'all. I'm not saying that she ain't a good-looking woman. I'm not saying that she doesn't have a nice physique and all these things. There's compliments to go around. But my impression of Madison thus far is that she's got an overinflated ego. She was all about looks with the men she dated. And as she said on this show, Allan ain't her type. Well, we knew that. And when I first saw Allan, before they even got to the altar, I thought, oh, she's not going to like him. And then when she saw him, she acted like she was okay with his looks. But we come to find out now she's just faking it. She just doesn't want to seem rude. But I think we're finding out that deep down inside, Madison's not really all that attracted to Allan. Because he said, he's not really my type. Normally I like men who are more groomed up, more metro, more athletic body. Once again, people having a picker that they've been using all this time. But then when someone gives them someone different, someone on the inside that they might vibe with, instead, they still want to revert back to their picker, which is the outside. So what Madison really wanted was, she wanted you to still give her that guy that looked that way, but she wanted the insides to match Allan, probably. I want the outside of the other man I used to date, but I want the insides of Allan. Allan likes to have a good time. He's still running around with that damn banana. I'm like, boy, put that banana away. They're up here taking pictures, talking about take a picture with the banana. That's goofy. But she says she's so happy. Her friends are grilling him, and she says she likes him because she's never been with a man that's been so chivalrous and a sweet man. He opened the door for her, pulled out her chair. What? You ain't never been with a man that opened the door, pulled out a chair? but the men you've been choosing never did that. But when you sit here today, you're still talking about the men you liked. No wonder. Because I think that Madison really has an overinflated ego. And I think when she was with men who were maybe very good looking, what she didn't realize was those men looked at themselves as more good looking as her. That's what I think. That they looked at themselves as the prize in the relationship, not her. And here's a man that comes along and he's going to think of Madison as the prize. She should be happy for that. She should be happy that she's in a relationship where the man thinks she's the prize. But she's used to relationships where she goes after looks so much that what happens is the men think they're the prize and she's not the prize. And, Allan talks about how he romanticizes relationships. He's so physically attracted to her. He thinks she's beautiful. And she says, you know what? I don't just want physical attraction, but I just don't want physical attraction and security. I also want emotional security and mental security. Because I'm telling you, those men she probably went out with probably made her feel less than. And now she says, I know I'm beautiful, but I want someone to love me for my soul. Girl. Dude, is this the way it looks, y'all? I know I'm beautiful. That was just something about it that I said to myself, girl, really? This the way you referring to yourself? It's like when I hear a woman say, I can get any man I want. No, you can't. You can't get any man you want, because if you get any man you want, you wouldn't be here. It's a lie. It's a lie. Like I said, Madison got kind of an overinflated ego. And when they was grilling Allan, they said that about a year and a half, he was in a 4-year relationship, and it was that relationship was maybe toxic. The woman was overbearing and mean to him because he probably worships the women. He worships the women. I think Allan got a little coin. Allan might have a little bit of a coin, so he probably can date up because women will, better good-looking women will like him because he's got money. But those women probably, maybe they was never really attracted to him, and they treated him mean. And then what Toxic Madison says is, yeah, by talking to him, I found that he was a giver and he's over-accommodating. She's so toxic that she was like, I don't want a giver and a person who's over-accommodating. I want that other man who thought he was the prize in the relationship and treated me like shit. So we got Madison over here complaining about that Allan is a giver and too accommodating. So she would rather have the good-looking man that treats her horribly, that don't pull out no chairs and open no car doors. So the man that's a giver and over-accommodating is the red flag. But here she still is asking for the same old thing she's been trying to run away from. Girl, another person that needs to go sit down. Go sit down. She talking about she overwhelmed with her good feelings. And no, she ain't. No, she's not. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. And then our last couple, Camille and Thomas. Thomas was like, let me let you know that you my type, Camille. You exactly the type of woman when I'm out in the open world, I date. They look like you. And they was asking, do we think that Thomas has a hard time sticking with commitment? Yes, it's obvious that Thomas has had a hard time with commitment. It's obvious. And I think it's good that Thomas came on this show, because what I think about Thomas is that in one way you can't say he has a hard time with commitment because he was in a 9-year relationship. Some marriages don't even last 9 years. We're going to get to the cheating. So in a lot of ways, I can't say that Thomas has a problem with commitment. What I can say is Thomas has a hard time with pulling the trigger, right? I think Thomas likes committed relationships, but he was afraid to get married because of what goes wrong in marriages. He's concentrating on the divorce rate. He's concentrating on the failure rate, and he doesn't want that failure rate. So what he does is, I'll take the relationship, the 9-year relationship, without the commitment, and then therefore I don't have to take the leap. Well, let me tell you something. If you with a woman for 9 years and she wanted to get married and you didn't want to get married, I'm telling you right now, that woman was pissed. She was pissed. So the fact that he cheated on that woman, I'm not surprised, because any woman with a man for 9 years who wanted to get married, she's pissed. And more than likely, she's grown to be very resentful. She's grown to be very. Two people shouldn't have stayed there that long. That woman should not have stayed in that relationship for 9 years, and he shouldn't have stayed in that relationship for 9 years. If he knew he wasn't going to marry her, he shouldn't have stayed, and she should have left. And instead, what you did was you had two bitter people in a relationship. And as that woman became more and more bitter, I'm pretty sure she started withdrawing affection. I'm pretty sure of it. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? What woman would want to get married to a man, be with him for 9 years, and you're still going to just keep doing everything for that man even though he don't want to marry you? No. You're going to start withdrawing some affection, alienation of affection. And then you have Thomas over here, who has never given her what she wanted, which was marriage. He was okay with the relationship. He probably liked the woman, but he didn't want to get married because he's scared. And next thing you know, he's like, wait a minute, I'm okay not getting married next year. And then as things start to fall apart, now he's like, well, now I don't even have the affection from you. Yeah, you ain't got no affection, Thomas, because you sat up here and wasted this woman's time for 9 years. Okay? I see how the cheating happened. I see how it happened. And who knows? I see how it happens. So does he have a problem with commitment? I think what he has a problem with getting married. And I think that's why this show is good for him, because the show already made him married. Because if he was a runner, a track star, he wouldn't have been with her for 9 years. So I think what Thomas will do is he is married and he will work through the issues with Camille. He said he's tired of playing games. He's past that point. I believe it. He's ready to get married. And Camille, she's my favorite until I heard that little preview. Well, she's still my favorite, but I heard that little preview when she's talking about something about swag. I was like, girl, you ain't got no swag. Camille, you better do what all the other wives do if you want a man with swag, and take him shopping. Girl, just go shopping with him and replace a few things in his wardrobe, dress him up. What you think other wives do out here? Why do you think when couples go out, men be asking women, what should I wear? Women be picking out full outfits for men to dress them up and give them the swag they want. Don't be lazy, Camille. Don't be lazy. That's probably the problem you had when you couldn't find no man that was serious because you was too busy looking for swag. Don't be lazy, Camille. But I still got faith in her. And it's good that he went to therapy after he cheated on that girlfriend. And hopefully he went to therapy not only for the cheating, but why he would stay with a woman for 9 years and not marry her. That's horrendous. But I still have a lot of faith in this couple. And he was a little taken aback by the fact that she had never lived with a man. And he's like, wow, you never lived with anyone? No. So she's going to have some eye-opening things with there. But like I said, Camille lives in a little studio apartment. So she hasn't really spread out in a big old house where now she's got too many things she needs to adjust. She's kept her footprint pretty small. So I think she'll be able to fold into living with him pretty well. She was happy that he's family oriented. I like his family. They seem close and tight. And he was honest to her girlfriends. When he was honest and told them and said, listen, I wasn't a good boyfriend at the end of that relationship. If I'm honest, I cheated on her. And That was bold of him to tell the friends that before he even had told Camille that. I don't know if that was something he should have told the friends first, then he told Camille, because when it came back to Camille, she was like, can't believe he told you before he told me. But I don't know, the friends seem to understand it a little bit, maybe because nowadays in dating, trying to find a person that's never cheated in relationships looks like it might be kind of hard. I don't know, what's the cheating rate out here? I think the admitted cheating rate is 50-60%. That's the people who admit it. So we could be looking at a real cheating rate in your lifetime. Not that you're cheating right now in your relationship, but have you ever cheated? We could be looking at a cheating rate of 70-80% of people. So Camille, I don't know, you want somebody with swag, someone who's ready to be married and that has never cheated in their life. Girl, I don't know, you might be looking for a unicorn. A unicorn, 10% of the population, 20%. Because once you start getting people who are 40-something years old, like this man is, they've lived a lot of life. They've done some things they're not proud of. And sometimes cheating is one of them. And especially when you start getting into what is cheating. Physical cheating, emotional cheating, texting, calling, emotional relationships. Once you get there, I don't know if anybody's safe. I don't know if anybody's safe out here. But his family was honest with her. He said, you know what? Some of the issues you're going to run into with him is that he could be closed off. And that could be an issue in your marriage. And I see that with him. He's cerebral. He goes inward in his thinking. So if you're not the type of person that helps him process his emotions, you're right. You may not know what's going on inside there. And he probably learned that from being adopted. Sometimes people have trauma that they go through and they internalize their pain. They didn't really learn how to process it. So sometimes their coping mechanisms. Are to go within, go inward. And I think that's what she got with him. So I think he gonna need to do some work on his communication. I think that's gonna be their biggest issue in their marriage is communication. And she said one of her non-negotiables was a cheating man. Well, I guess it's gonna be negotiable now. At least it's been 5 years ago and he went through therapy. I guess that's the best you could hope for. But this idea that she wanted some man with swag, girl, you conservative too. You are conservative too. One thing I did like was he carried over the threshold. He did carry over the threshold. And that was the only person who carried someone over the threshold. Because I think that Camille likes tradition. So I think she likes tradition. And she wanted to be carried over the threshold. And she got her black card by bringing that satin pillowcase. I gave her black girl card by bringing that satin pillowcase. Don't show up with no hot sauce at dinner, Camille. Don't pull out no hot sauce out that purse at dinner. She brought that satin pillowcase. I said, there go that black girl card. There it goes right there. So I don't know what you was looking for when you said you want a man with swag. And you don't want this button-up guy that wears a suit and tie to work and who's conservative and who goes inward and who's introverted. Girl, you better be happy because obviously the man you've been choosing ain't worked out well. It ain't worked out well at all. But they had the after party after the show, and EKG, Ike, Camille, and David won the after party. David was looking like a caveman. He looks more like a caveman on this after party than he did on the show. His beard is all scruffy, everything. Didn't much go on. He just still talked one more time about living in the basement. And that's when I said EKG told us about the fact that he didn't write that song. He didn't even know the lyrics to the song. Ugh. Just a bunch of nonsense. And then Camille was on there with her conservative dress on. She had on her conservative dress talking about she want a man with swag. Girl, these folks, do they see themselves? Do they really see themselves? But anyway, that's all I got, y'all. That's all we got for episode 3. And don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the chat. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.